The following program is being brought to you by the Farmhouse Cafe and Mind Body Spirit of Omaha.
Living in the millennium, souls be looking for a healing, and he's healing them, filling some of them with his spirit.
My name is Hesselgesser, and this is Hesselgesser on Purpose. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're all about the sights and the sounds of music and video, and I'm excited for you to meet our guests. We have the group The Nines, and we also have H.G. Philps, who is responsible for the wonderful backdrop, the music of our show. So when you come back, we'll meet him in person.
You know, it can't be about sitting on the couch every Sunday afternoon watching a game, scratching your wearing a baseball cap.
HG, welcome to the show.
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So we just saw a little bit of my promo, and your music is my theme song, and I have to tell you, I'm just honored. You can imagine, you know, you want the right vibe, you want the right feel, you want the right sound, and when I heard your song, I knew that that was it. So I first have to publicly thank you for allowing me to use it. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration for that. I should tell people watching at home and our audience here that the song is very inspirational. It's called Take It Away. And so tell me where it came from.
First, let me say I'm honored that you even have it on your show. I really appreciate it. And the inspiration, I guess, came from a while ago. I actually wrote the song years ago.
Yeah.
And the inspiration came from reflecting on my life and, people's lives around me, and it just, the hurtful things. The melody of the song I really loved. And at that particular time, I was really writing things from the heart, and the melody grabbed me, and the thought was, man, all these things, there's so many things I want to take away from myself, or I want God to take away from me, and that just kind of inspired it. And then I worked with a great friend of mine, Jim Mertz, and we just kind of put the idea together, and it just kind of grew into a song.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a beautiful song. I love it so much. First of all, I should publicly say happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
I hope I'm not saying something wrong. I hope I can actually say he's 50 today, and I got to tell you, well, we're both 50, so join the group. You look great.
Thank you very much.
And I hear we have something else that we want to celebrate. Your lovely wife is here in the audience today, Lisa. You two have been married for 25 years.
25 years, yes.
So, I want to talk about the music and all of that, but 25 years, and perhaps, she should be sitting here because maybe your stories will be different, but in this industry, in any industry, I shouldn't qualify it, but especially in this industry when you're traveling and you're doing your thing, what's the secret? 25 years, that's amazing.
It's not really a secret. I love music. I've always loved music, but even I considered my music a ministry. My first ministry was to my wife and my family. So it always took the back burner, and sure, when I was doing, I've been doing this for like 17, 18 years. So when I first started doing it, of course I wanted a big contract. I wanted to do big things. I wanted to be national, international. And I still really wouldn't mind doing those things, but not at the cost of my family, not at the cost of my marriage. The music always stayed on the back burner. I did it, and I did it to a point where it got done, but never at the risk of losing my wife or family. It's like, well, that was my first ministry. I had to take care of that first, and that's how it was. No secrets, no. you know.
You just prioritized.
Prioritized,
And
yeah.
you made your family first.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about your music. So you are a rapper.
Yes.
And a little bit later in the show, we're going to show a clip of your video. So that's pretty amazing. But tell me a little bit about that. What are your influences? What did you?
Oh my goodness. You know, I'm old school hip hop. A lot of the old school hip hop artists. That's the music I use, or the hip hop music that I used to listen to. You know. And that just influenced my style. Now, like I said, I've always done music. When I started doing rap, we're talking about back in the days of Run DMC and Houdini, and you know. But those are the guys, Rakim. Those are the guys that influenced me. Well, when I got in church, I stopped rapping altogether.
Why is that?
I just lost the desire because I was sincere about wanting to change my life. You know, so when I got into church like that, the music just kind of took, you know, the back burner as far as writing.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. So when you say you wanted to change your life, were you going down a different path?
No, I wasn't a bad guy. Well, I mean, you know, not to the point where I had hit rock bottom. It was like, oh, I got to give my life to God. It wasn't like that. It was just a certain pull, you know, like it was time. I want to get my life together. I want to establish a relationship with God and be serious about it. And when I did that, the music just, again, took the back burner. But then I started getting, songs just started coming to me, you know, and back when I started doing it, I got inspired, exactly. And when I started doing gospel hip hop, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, the church rejected, the world was definitely rejecting it, but the church,
it was
new, and the church did not want to hear it. I mean, it was really, really rough. But it was, you know, it was stuff that I felt was inspired to me by God, because it was effective, you know, and it was fresh, it was new, it was something that not too many people here in Omaha were doing. It was being done, but not like it's being done now.
Yeah. Well, when it's authentic like that, and it's true, and I'm so glad that you stuck with it. You know, even when, you know, that's what this show is all about. You know, because sometimes we have a dream or we hear God's voice, but we don't have, you know, we're too afraid. You know, we run into those brick walls, or we don't get the support that we need, and so we falter a little bit, and then we turn away and we do something that might be a little bit safe.
Right.
So I love your story. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now. And yeah.
Well, you know, I have slowed down a lot with HG Field, only because I've gotten older.
Stop it.
Well, no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that.
We're the same age.
But what I mean is, I've been doing it for 17 years, and that's not, you know, that's nothing in God's time. I know that, and I know that He's not done with me in regards to it as a ministry, a music ministry. But the priorities again are shifting. You know, I don't have that desire to just get out there and do it the way that I did when I was, you know, 17 years ago. I'm more or less, I like the back row. You know, I have some great young talent that I'm working with, a couple of nephews, and I have a youth group that I'm working with. You know,
so you're mentoring others.
Absolutely, and I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? And yet I still get the opportunity to do HG Field. I still do performances and stuff like that, but not like I used to. I have some things going on over in Japan, some real nice things that, you know, that are starting to manifest. But you know, I'll keep that, you know, kind of low until something actually happens. Right. But you know, just some great things like that are happening. But it's more, I'm more focused on, you know, the kids now, and bringing, you know, exploring other gifts and, you know, and talents and stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, before we bring out the nines, I'd like us all to visit, but I'd like to take a little bit of a look at your video.
Great.
Yeah.
Come on. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, yeah. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick. You know the clock goes, the world goes, and life goes, and time goes, our minds go, yep. But the evil it keeps spreading, counting down to Armageddon. You know the clock goes, the world goes, and life goes, and time goes. our minds gone. Yep, but the word it keeps spreading, counting down to Armageddon, it keeps ticking.
Yeah, it's true, I'm an old school dude from the old school. No, I don't do what the dudes that the old dude runs with the fun crew. Some of them young dudes never carry guns cause a brother got son crew.
HG, we just saw a little bit of your video, so tell me a little bit. We were talking off camera, but we have somebody in common. You know, I asked you what your inspiration was in that, and you pointed to my producer, Vincent Alston. I know he
Mr.
was.
VLA.
And then we were talking about how we both have something in common. You know, we both just do whatever he tells us to do when he tells us to do it. Now he's on the floor and laughing hysterically because he knows that it's not necessarily true. But you know, we'll let him say that. It's such a pleasure. I'm such a fan. I'm just such a fan.
Thank you so
and
much.
having met you in person, love to have you back and keep in touch with you and see what's going on.
I would love to come back. Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll introduce the Nines. Welcome back to Hesselgesser on Purpose. I would like to introduce the Nines. This is Mitch Town. Thank you so much for being on this show. Jason Bernsteel, did I say that
That's right. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you in person. I've listened to you in various places, and I do, before I forget, because you know I want to make sure that by the time this airs, Gentleman Caller will have come out and will be available. Tell us a little bit about this. What was the inspiration? What can people expect?
Well, that's our new EP. We've been a band since about 1998.
Yeah.
And so this is probably...
98 to 16 years.
We had a little hiatus in there, but we're very excited about this new record. This is probably the best thing we've ever done. It's an EP. It's 3 songs of just solid music, if I do say so myself.
Well, and you're entitled. So you've been together for 16 years with a short break. What brought you two together? Tell me the story. How'd you meet? What happened?
Well, we were in both in different bands and kind of had a mutual admiration going on. We always used to come see Mitch's band when he played with the Jailbreakers, and we had a band called Smilin' Jack that Mitch would come see, and just got talking one night on set break and thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we did something original? Got together, had about an album's worth of songs done before we ever completed our band.
Yeah.
And so once that happened, it was all systems go. We had a great rhythm section, a nice solid core group of guys of really good character and really great work ethic. And 16 years later, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
So your music is R&B, a little jazz.
I'd say it's R&B.
It's an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff.
Amalgamation.
Yeah.
Musicians aren't supposed to use words that big.
Look that up.
Wait, let me. Anybody got Google? So, what were your influences? I mean, were you
The thing that we often get tagged with, and it's a good shorthand for what the band might sound like, even though there's a lot more to it than that. But early on, we were described as Steely Dan if Prince were the front man. So that's a pretty good shorthand for the entry level. If you don't like Prince and you don't like Steely Dan, you probably might not be into us.
Yeah.
But there's a variety of things within that also.
Because I always put Steely Dan and Prince in the same
We did.
category. I mean, I always do that.
Yeah, I mean,
HG, do you?
for younger viewers, I mean, if you like what you get from like a Maroon 5 or maybe a Gavin DeGraw, or I mean somebody that's kind of has an R&B feel to their pop music, there's probably a lot in there for you for the Nines.
So what's your guys' secret? We talked about HG's long-term relationship. He's been married for 25 years. Oh, and today's his 50th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Happy birthday.
But so your partnership. I mean, what's been the secret? What's kept you two together through thick and thin?
Probably not having to live with each other.
Definitely.
That'd be a different story.
I always say the secret to a great relationship is separate bathrooms. So
We're very separate in that respect.
If you don't have to live together, that probably. And I know that we're a little cozy on the couch. Are you from the school that when you guys go to a movie theater, you always have one seat in between you because you never want to.
From that school.
Yeah.
From that school.
We broke that rule today.
No, this is cool. These are great guys, so they're great.
So I hear congratulations are in order. You just got signed to Silver Street Records.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that. How did you, I mean, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal for any group. You know, the reason we're excited about our partnership with Silver Street and Charles Hull, who's the owner, is that here's a guy that comes from a marketing and promotion background, and he had a very successful company in arch rival marketing, some very impressive clients, and he's taken that energy and that experience and focused it in the music business. And promoting and marketing ourselves has never been something we've been great at.
Yeah.
You know, we know how to write music, we know how to get on stage, entertain, and have fun. But taking us and pushing us out there to the public has just never been one of our strong suits.
Well, that's a whole separate business.
It's a separate business, and this is what Charles does. And not only, you know, when we paired up with Charles and Silver Street, we also had the rare fortune of working with a couple fantastic producers. Their collaboration is called Buzz, B-Z-Z-Z, and it's James Fleege and Sean Bestie. And some of the viewers may remember Sean from years ago, a band called Happy Dog. He used to play around, went out to the coast.
Those of us that are 50 remember.
Went out to the coast, spent some time out there, came back home, and Mitch found him, and they talked about the possibility of doing a record. He was on board. He remembered us from back in the day. And the result has been a really cool and honest collaboration.
Yeah.
A lot of give and take, a lot of generosity on the part of both parties, and it's
A lot of trust.
a lot of trust.
A lot of faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's important when you're doing this, because all musicians kind of want to kind of protect their material like it's their kids, but at some points it's good to let go and let somebody you trust kind of be that fifth, in this case sixth band member, and it resulted in without question our best work to date.
Well, congratulations again. You know, one of the things that I wanted all four of us to talk about is I can think of no greater emotional caveat for me other than music. And I know that, you know, the three of you are artists, and there's such passion there for what you do and how you do it. But at the end of the day, it's a business. So, you know, I think that there's such a mystique as far as what goes on behind the scenes. But in doing some research, I got to tell you, I was mortified by the, you know, I'm going to use a rather harsh word, but artists get raped, you know, when it comes down to the business deal, as far as, you know, X amount of, you know, something sells for X amount of money, and you get pittance. Talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, you know, and do you think it's changed over the years with regards to how technology has impacted the music world?
Well, certainly technology allows you direct access to your potential audience. You know, before you had to have a label as a gateway to reach anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a different game now. You know, and I may have a little different take on it than these guys, and I'm certainly not going to speak for them, they'll weigh in. But I think certainly the case can be made that during the early and mid 20th century and even beyond, really, and primarily black artists got messed over pretty bad, you know, and it was just that there was probably a lack of representation, a lack of advocacy for them. Now it's a little bit different story. I don't think anybody owes any artist an audience. I think you have to go out there and get your audience. And I think if you're not diligent enough to cut a smart deal with whoever's promising you things, that's on you. All the resources are out there. If you're an artist and you're getting messed over, you didn't do your homework.
Really?
Okay, I believe that. I believe, and these guys may feel different, but.
So HG, I didn't realize. I was talking to my producer about this. I did not realize that Michael Jackson was the first black artist that was on MTV. I didn't know that. You know, when I think about that wasn't very long ago.
Right.
You know, that amazes me. I mean, do you agree with?
I totally agree with them. I totally agree with them.
How has it changed for you as a
I mean, with the technology and everything, I mean, for independent artists, you really can, if you really out there grinding, you can probably make a substantial living, you know, if you're, I mean, really out there grinding. But, you know, when I first started doing this, I was just totally green. So the whole learning process for me was just kind of jacked up, you know.
Well, I would think that as an artist, I mean, there'd be this thing, you know, where you'd have to feel on any given day, can I just do my music? Can I just do?
When I started doing it, that was my attitude. I just wanted to do music. Well, I had people around me that I thought knew and I thought had my best interest at heart.
Had your back.
And I won't say that they totally didn't, but it was just things that they weren't telling me that I didn't know, that once I found out, I was like, okay, this ain't cool, you know?
Well, and that's the thing, you know, that's one of the things that we're excited about being with Silver Street with Charlie Hall, is that, you know, when you've been doing music for as long as we all have, you've been into so many meetings that are so much BS. And people talk, and it's like, you know, we can do this, and I did this, and this, and then the other thing. And you walk out going, well, no.
Yeah.
No.
Or what just happened here.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
I think we had a meeting to decide that we're going to have another meeting.
Exactly.
Which nothing will be.
Right. And so when we had a meeting with Charlie, I mean, Charlie got a track record in marketing, started a company that was extremely successful, and has now turned his focus towards music and really wanting to do for artists what he has done for companies. And so we really walked out feeling like, okay, this guy's on the level.
Yeah.
You know, this is something for us, because as Jason said earlier, we're good at writing and playing music.
Yeah.
We're not good at talking about ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not very good at calling and saying, hey, check out my great band.
Yeah.
I want this other guy to call and go, hey, check out this great band.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so we're really excited to be a part of that and to have someone taking up that slack.
I struggle with the same thing. So after this show, I want all three of you to go out and say, hey, check out this great show.
Definitely. It's definitely.
We got to help market everybody else, right?
Absolutely.
Most
No,
people
I
do this on
totally-
a talk show.
Yeah. No, I totally get it though. It is, and you know, there's something in us that we feel like, you know, you don't want to sound like, you know, you got this ego that's
Well,
out
some people
here.
do, though.
You
Some
know?
people don't mind.
Well,
You know, and I mean, I'll tell you that I'm
those are
good.
usually the people that aren't that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's
I am
true,
good,
too.
and I'll tell you I am good.
You are. I mean, all three of you are phenomenal, or you wouldn't be here. But it is difficult. You know, to talk about yourself and, you know, to market yourself and spread that publicly. So from a financial standpoint, how has, you know, is it easier or harder for you to make a buck with, you know, the whole social media thing and how it works and all the downloads and the iTunes? I mean, how does that play into it? Because that's a relatively new.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could speak for the Omaha scene in that it caters mainly to, I mean, the dollars are more behind, you know, cover bands and playing songs that everybody hears on the radio. And so to be an original band and to go out and get a decent payday, you've got to bring something that people want to hear. I mean, it's a market. There's a free market where music's concerned, and you can't expect to get paid unless you're delivering something that people want to pay for.
That's true.
And that's really the attitude that we've always taken. And so we've tried to make our show, even though it's mainly original music, entertaining to people that maybe have never heard of us before. And there's ways to do it, and the trick is to figure that out if you want to make it a sustainable thing. If you've got day gigs and you don't care, by all means, you know, go out to any venue that will have you and do your thing, and, you know, gosh, maybe you'll get some kind of a small audience. But if you really want to go out and make a go of it, you have to keep one eye on your audience all the time.
Well, all three of you are entertainers, and I think that there's a difference. You know, some people are just, you know, truly artists and not necessarily entertainers. And I think that all three of you are both. So you can get in front of that live audience and, you know, grab them and get them in and involve them. I think that all
That's
three.
kind of you.
Well, I mean that. I think that's true. So let's talk about the Omaha community. You all three live here,
Yep.
and you have for X amount of time. I mean, you must feel that Omaha is a great community to do your work
Absolutely.
in.
It's pretty supportive, and it's central.
Or maybe not.
It's central, and you can go places from here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, travel if you need to dart out for a showcase
Yeah.
or a
Pretty
or a
centrally
summer
located. You can get to the
festival.
East Coast or the West Coast.
It makes a lot of sense. And,
Yeah.
and with the whole Saddle Creek thing, I mean, it certainly gained some notoriety
Yeah.
nationally and internationally. So it's not a bad place to make music.
Well, in regards to my particular genre, it's really hard because gospel hip hop is new, kind of, but at the same time, when you to do a gig, for the churches don't consider it a gig, and a lot of times they, and not to badmouth the churches or anything, but it's just reality. A lot of times they want you to come in as if you're doing them a favor, and not looking at it as if, well, you're not considering the money that you put into this project, and they don't look at it as from your aspect as a business.
Yeah.
They just come share one of your gifts with us, and we'll give you a hot dog and some chips.
Your ministry.
Yeah, your ministry, exactly.
And you find that sometimes in the church is that people just want to we'll just let the Holy Ghost move, and they don't rehearse, they don't play. But when you get on a certain level in the church, man, those guys are hitting it.
Come on, man.
Serious.
Man, come on.
But there's there's sometimes that lack of a commitment. So I know.
And that's I have ran in my 17 years of doing this. I've ran into so much of that, and it kind of takes the gas out of you. In Omaha, the people that like my music, they're very supportive. But when you talk about doing things to make to generate funds, it's very difficult for my genre.
Oh, I totally get it. And nothing. You want to feel like your work and your time and your artistry is valued.
Absolutely.
That's all you want.
Absolutely.
To do. So where can we see you next?
I think probably the best play for anybody who wants to see the Nines is to go to our website.
Go to your website.
It's the
Check it out.
Nines. It's number 9S band.com. There you can get on our mailing list. You can see dates. You can see live video. It's just kind of a good central location to get in touch with us and get interested in what we do.
Perfect. And just as a reminder, Gentleman Caller is out and available
On iTunes and on the website.
Gentlemen, it's been such a privilege to have you tonight. I hope that you'll come back, and I'm anxious to follow you around and be a groupie.
We'll take you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for joining us this evening, and my name is Robin Hesselgesser, and I'm reminding you to live your life on purpose.
Like minutes, who repented? It's a race, who wanna win it? I gotta win it, cause I repented, and I can't wait for souls to get saved, for it gets too late. Fighting my mind, I gotta realize I'm one heartbeat from eternity. I prefer to be.
This program has been brought to you by the Farmhouse Cafe and Mind, Body, Spirit of Omaha.